So, Secretary Kerry, thanks for being with us. I guess my first question would be, being a former presidential candidate yourself, what would you say to Vice President Biden today at this point in the race?
Well, I would just say keep doing what you're doing. I think he's doing a terrific job. I think the vice president has put forward an economic plan. You folks out there in Las Vegas have been hard hit by COVID itself. A lot of people have died, particularly seniors. Your economy is hurting. It's one of the biggest hurts in the country. And we want to get back to people being able to travel to the industry that keeps Las Vegas humming. The way to get back there is to have a plan to deal with COVID. And Vice President Biden has put forward a plan. Donald Trump has completely run away from presidential leadership. He has lied to Americans about the COVID-19. He continues to lie even now in his campaign. And he uses himself as an example that does not fit the average life of most people in America. So I think the folks in Nevada understand that, and I hope people go out and vote early. You're able to start this Saturday. Go to it and help calm America down and end the chaos presidency.
Right. I mean, obviously, this election, a lot of focus on COVID-19. What do you think the Biden administration should do immediately, or what is the administration, what is the campaign saying that they're going to do immediately to make things better?
Well, the vice president has put a real plan on the table. He has laid out exactly what we need to do and what he will do as president of the United States in order to deal with COVID. And it begins with very simple things, like not flaunting the idea of criticizing or mocking the idea of wearing masks. Excuse me, masks actually reduce a huge percentage, something like 70%, 78% of transmission is reduced by masks. So that's critical for Americans because we don't want our hospitals overwhelmed. We don't want millions of people dying that didn't have to die. So I think Trump has shown a real callousness about that. There's no plan. Joe Biden is going to convene the major doctors, epidemiologists, experts, help show America what really can be done, how it can be done. He's going to provide the equipment necessary for all our healthcare workers. He's going to help to create a capacity to open up our economy, but to do it with tracking, tracing, the contact tracing, so we could actually not be the worst country in the world or the second worst country in the world dealing with COVID. That's where we are today. President Trump has made us not first in a good way, but first as one of the worst countries in the world in the response. And Joe Biden will be the exact opposite of that.
Have you been affected by COVID-19 or know someone who's been diagnosed?
Oh, I've lost friends. Luckily, knock on wood. So far, no members of our family have it. One of my daughters is a critical care physician working in the ICU in one of our hospitals in Boston, and she's right on the front line. We think about her every day and all the other workers who are out there. So everybody is affected, by the way.
Yeah.
So many parents are struggling to educate their kids at home, to try to make ends meet, to pay the bills, stay in the house, if it's a rented or they're paying a mortgage. There are just a lot of challenges here. And President Trump hasn't even been able to cut a deal to provide additional assistance to people.
Right.
A great deal maker is not a deal maker.
Right.
And where he has made them, they've been bad deals.
Well, in the CARES Act that was passed over the spring, we have legislation that is sitting in Congress to help people with payments, and it is just sitting there. They are working on other things. So I guess I would ask you from an international perspective, the Trump administration places a lot of blame on this pandemic on China. Is this China's fault? And would the Biden administration put any restrictions in place to punish China in any way?
Look, there are reasons for everybody in America to be concerned about what China did. China is not blameless in its early response because, in fact, it was not as transparent as people claimed, and there were problems in that. But the problem, again, President Obama left Donald Trump with a plan that had our people in China actually tracing coronavirus to learn more about it. And President Trump pulled those people back out of the country. We gave up the seat we had at the table in order to do that. And when President Trump says he closed down flights from China, in fact, he, because of loopholes, allowed 45,000 additional people to come from China and spread it around America. He knew, as he said in his own words to Bob Woodward on a recording, he is recorded as saying, "I knew this was a killer. It was committed, it was transferred by air. And yes, it affected children, but I wanted to play it down." My friends, we need a president of the United States who doesn't play things down because he's afraid it's going to hurt his numbers or his economy or his reelection. We need a president who's going to protect the American people. And if we had done what we knew we could do back then, every expert has said we would have saved tens of thousands of lives in our country. That's what a president is supposed to do. Joe Biden has a plan to do that, and we need to elect responsible leadership.
Moving to these, some of the peace deals that the Trump administration has announced recently, particularly in the Middle East, would the Biden administration continue to uphold those deals? And is this something that, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris support?
Absolutely. Joe Biden and Kamala have both welcomed the initiative of the United Arab Emirates, the UAE. They took the initiative. They're the ones who live in the region. They're the ones who get the flack if there is flack. And they had the courage to stand up and to actually sort of cement what had already been a changing relationship with the state of Israel. But Joe Biden is a very, very pro-Israel. There's a long record of support for Israel. The Obama administration gave the largest single military assistance memorandum of understanding for 10 years, $38 billion with Israel, and built the Iron Dome system that saved thousands of lives of Israelis and others. And so I think it is very clear, yes, it is a good step, but it is not the final step. It's not yet what you need to finish there. And obviously there's a lot more work to do.
In terms of another international issue, the Biden campaign put out a statement yesterday about Azerbaijan and Armenia, and obviously the atrocities that have been going on there. We have, Turkey involved, Iran sort of on the side. All these countries are sort of, looking. Syria's not too far away. What is the Biden administration going to do about this escalating problem in that region?
Well, it's going to require real personal diplomacy. It's going to require leadership in order to quiet it down. We are one of the parties to what's called the Minsk process, which together with Russia and France is supposed to be helping to prevent this kind of explosion from taking place. It's partly the absence of the United States and even the sort of wink and nod that has come from from President Trump that has allowed some of this to run out of hand, but not exclusively. It's being used as a proxy. As you said, Turkey is involved with Azerbaijan. Russia has interests with both, but very close interests with Armenia. And we have to get a ceasefire in place as rapidly as possible. And then we have to move once again to see if we can get the parties to accept what is one of the real and frozen, intractable conflicts in the world. But it takes great diplomacy, and there is very little diplomacy being done regarding it.
Final question here. You served as Secretary of State for 4 years. You, of course, were a longtime senator. Would you accept a position in the Biden-Harris cabinet if that does happen to be what the American people choose?
I have no idea. I have no speculation about anything. I just, that's not what we're here for. We're here to elect President Biden And that is something that I think is sort of the game that gets played in Washington that just doesn't have a place in the campaign right now.
Do you have any specific message for the people in Nevada and Las Vegas, particularly about why Joe Biden should be their pick instead of President Trump?
Look, I loved being in Nevada and campaigned hard there. And we've, in the last years, President Obama and Vice President Biden have been greatly appreciated by folks out there. I think that if you look at this campaign, Nevada's interests, getting Nevada back to work, putting people in a place where their lives are going to be able to come back together, where COVID is being responsibly dealt with, where we have a president who will unite the country, not divide it, not play to the lowest common denominator of politics, which are racial divisions and other kinds of demagogic steps and words that have been used. Joe Biden is clearly a decent person of great integrity, who knows how to bring people together across the aisle. And major economic entities in the country have all said he has the best plan to put people back to work and rebuild our economy. So let's do it. Let's end the chaos presidency and put somebody reasonable in there who can lead America in the way that we all hope and expect.
All right, Secretary Kerry, thanks so much.
Privileged to be with you.
And you have a good rest of your day.